Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rocha. I am the accounting manager of Lafayette Preparatory School, a nonprofit charter school. The board of directors has asked me to do this presentation on zero-based budgeting for everybody today. Let's start with the definition of zero-based budgeting. It is a method of budgeting in which all expenses must be justified for each new period. Zero-based budgeting starts from a zero base, and every function within an organization is analyzed for its need and cost. Budgets are then built around what is needed for the upcoming period, regardless of whether the budget was higher or lower in the previous year. There are different zero-based budgeting processes for both the public and private sectors. A brief history. Zero-based budgeting was developed by Peter Farr of Texas Instruments. In the private sector, it came into prominence in the 1970s when President Jimmy Carter promised to balance the federal budget. He intended to reform the budgeting system using zero-based budgeting so all expenditure proposals could compete on funding on an equal basis, starting from zero. In the public sector, it has mainly been limited to administrative overhead activities, i.e., administrative expenses needed to maintain the organization. What are the advantages of zero-based budgeting? First of all, it identifies and eliminates wasteful and obsolete operations. It is an efficient allocation of resources, and it is based on needs and benefits rather than history. It drives managers to find cost-effective ways to improve operations. It detects inflated budgets. It increases staff motivation by providing greater initiative and responsibility in decision-making. And it also increases communication and coordination within the organization. Of course, there are also disadvantages. It is more time-consuming than incremental budgeting, and justifying every line item can be problematic for departments with intangible outputs. It also requires specific training due to the increased complexity versus incremental budgeting. And in a large organization, the amount of information backing up the budgeting process may be overwhelming. Conclusions about zero-based budgeting. It changes the discussion about cost. It's helpful for reallocating funding within a department. There are efficiency gains, but not systematic gains. Managers become more engaged, and it becomes the basis for a more centralized control. Here are some real-world examples of zero-based budgeting. Texas Instruments, the Florida Power and Light Company, the federal government, the Office of Management and Budgeting, state governments, the state of Florida, Georgia, and Oklahoma, and city government, the city of Gilbert, Arizona. My recommendation: I would recommend we implement zero-based budgeting for our nonprofit organization. The advantages outweigh the disadvantages for an organization our size. Managers would become more involved and improve the communication throughout the organization. Implementation. The zero-based budgeting system puts the burden of proof on the managers and demands that each manager justify the entire budget in detail and prove why he or she must spend the organization's money in the manner proposed. A decision package must be developed by each manager, based on importance, for every project and activity, which includes an analysis of cost, purpose, alternative courses of action, measures of performance, and consequences of not performing the activity and the benefits. Thank you. Feel free to contact me via phone or email with any questions.